So hi everyone, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. So today we have Mr. Sridhar with us, and he is going to tell about his story and how he became the edge expert. So let's understand from him, and we will ask some questions to him so that if you are planning to attempt the edge expert examination, so how you can prepare well for it, as well as if you have any questions, just drop your questions in the chat box or the comment sections so that our team will respond on the scene. So, Mr. Sridhar, thank you so much for having this call with us, and it will be great for our audience to know more about you as well as how you prepare for the expert examination. So, I have a few questions to ask you. So, can we start with the questions if you are okay?
Oh yeah, thank you, Anuj. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, we can get started.
All right. So, I have a first question, Mr. Sridhar, if you can just briefly share about yourself, like what you are doing and what you have done in the past, so that our audience will get to know about you better.
Oh, thanks, Anuj. So I'm I'm basically an architect by profession, and got about more than 2 decades of experience in this field. If I look at my career, I started off with a small career in the Middle East initially as a start of my career, and then I kind of grew and got specialized into hospitality. I have designed and executed many hotels and resorts throughout the country, in India and abroad. And that is where actually I kind of I interacted with many consultants, especially mechanical and electrical engineers, which is one of the core area of the building systems today, what we have. Today, the architecture profession is more of, I should say, engineering. So initially the architecture was more about aesthetics. Now it's more about efficiency of the building and how it can actually perform over a period of time.
Right.
So we actually start thinking about the life cycle of the energy movement in the building, because buildings is a living organism by itself. So it's not that you design and you construct and you're over it. So people live in it, and so much so it's a lot of focus on climate change. We need to be careful about the energy spent on the operational aspects of the building, and more so because the building which is operating is one of the highest consumption of embodied carbon, so which is
right.
Why we need to try to reduce that in the long term in terms of sustainability. And it is in that sense that especially in fields like hotels and resorts, which is very energy intensive, like air conditioning and heating costs and loads, it becomes imperative for us to optimize the energy use inside the building, and all of these energy and mechanical, electrical systems, the plumbing systems, the water systems, the firefighting systems, right, needs to integrate and work in unison to optimize the overall function of the building. So so much so we today have the BMS tools, the building management system tools and others for us to look at, evaluate the current operating level of the building in terms of efficiency. And there is always an opportunity for us to optimize and to operate the building more efficiently. And that is where the certifications like EDGE come into play, and for us to first of all evaluate what is the performance of the current level of the building,
right,
and then what is the opportunity for us to improve upon it. So that is where my interest on the EDGE and the EDGE buildings came in. But as far as my interest towards the building goes, it goes back to my college days in Roorkee, where there was a subject called climatology.
Okay.
And that was, I think, in second year, and I had a lot of interest in it. We had an excellent professor there, and I developed a lot of interest in solar and solar passive systems at the time. And I taught that subject in that particular semester. And I think that is where somewhere within me there was a lot of interest about solar passive systems, natural ventilation, the mechanical, electrical systems, when I later on worked with M&E engineers. And usually I think if you look at building, for me, if I should draw an analogy, a building is like a ship. A ship it sails in the seas for days together, months together, but it functions as a standalone system, right? So you have all the electrical, mechanical, plumbing systems, all of it, in the sea, and you have a plant room.
Right.
So typically I would draw an analogy saying a plant room has got a chiller, it's got a heat recovery system, it's got a plumbing system, firefighting system, a lot of pumps and motors, and all of that, right? So essentially, you need to be a plant manager to operate this building. If I should draw the analogy of a ship, and then you need to look at the resources and resource efficiency, and then that's how we operate. So all of this actually kind of created interest for me to come in to look at EDGE certification.
Great. That's a great things, because from the building, because you have done the work in a lot of building in the Middle East. So that's I think from there you are, because you have a great experience. So taking the initiative of the certification, or after this, is because generally people take the credentials in the initial of the career and all, but because this shows the learning should not stop anytime. Okay, so it should be a lifelong learner, because you are a lifelong learner at this stage. You are also learning and getting credentials and all. So thank you so much for being a part of our training and becoming the edge expert, and congratulations for the same. So in continuation to that questions, like, because you are from the building, and also my question is, because you were mentioning about that you have worked with the IFC also in the past. Okay, so can you just throw a light on is like what was your role there, and because you shared because you have worked on the office work there in the Mumbai office, you were telling me something.
So my stint with IFC was about around 2 years. 2 years prior to this current situation. I was brought in as a consultant to roll out a new office fit out in Mumbai, and that is where we actually got to do some interior design. We signed a contract with a leaseholder, and I was, the project manager. I had, of course, a host of consultants, contractors to roll out the project, and of course, the focus was about getting the building, the interiors certified by Edge, LEED, and WELL. So we of course got the certifications for Edge, LEED, and WELL. Of course, the process of design and execution was taken care of because of the prerequisites for all of these certifications. We used the right building materials with less embodied carbon. We made sure that we brought in some energy-saving devices. We had a lot of sensors, light sensors, solar sensors. All of it which was in the design of the building and executed. So we took advantage of all of these efficiency measures, which is there in these certifications, and then we kind of implemented all of them in the design, and then we had a very good output. We had a very good interior design, which is energy saving, and we already got all of these certifications from these 3 institutions.
Super. Thank you so much for sharing this thing. I think whoever is building their office green and also definitely this inputs will be very helpful for those people. Great, Mr. Sridhar. So my next question is, because you attended our training program recently, so I just want to ask you, how was your training experience with us? So how was your training experience with us? If you can just throw a light on that part.
So I since I was with IFC, I was not new to Edge, to be honest. So and what fascinated me about Edge platform is the simplicity it brings to the entire focus about sustainability and green buildings, right? So it's not that we kind of talking in green buildings about green buildings in general. So the Edge platform makes it much more easier rather than running through very complicated energy models, right? So typically we senior engineers and architects are quite averse to a lot of these calculations and energy models, and all of these new tools which are very sophisticated, right? So from an end user perspective, we would actually like to know what is that particular measure which actually improves the performance of the building, right? Of course, there's a lot of science and engineering behind it. The Edge platform gives you, and the front end, you put in some inputs and it gives you the results, right? Without actually having the trouble of going through detailed calculations of energy model. So that simplicity is what actually fascinated me about the Edge platform. So once I actually got excited about how simple the tool is, right? So you generate more interest, and then you go through the course. So I actually approached you, and you were kind enough to take me into this in the last minute, actually. And I actually, knew quite a bit of it in terms of what should be the focus area in terms of studies to actually look at Edge, whether it's energy efficiency, water efficiency, or embodied carbon, right? So I was very focused, and I think your training was very, very pinpointed towards how you approach the exam, right? And why we are doing this, right? So we kind of run through quite a bit of examples, case studies. We went through a couple of case studies. And what I liked about the training is that you gave some homework assignments. We put some values and we came back and then revised it. We had a group discussion, and then we evaluated, so there's nothing like the right answer. We have multiple options to achieve the certification of Edge Advanced, and also what is required for achieving zero net carbon, right? So certification. So all of this, my background, and I think your focus case study kind of approach on training was very useful. And then when I actually completed the training, and then when I started preparing for the exam, it was very helpful. Where I had to, I think I just did some 2 revisions and I was ready for the exam.
Super, great. That's a great to know, and thank you so much for sharing all your insights about the training program, and also thank you so much for all your appreciation of feedback. I loved it. So if you people are watching this video and if you're interested to be a part of our 𝗦𝗥𝗧 workshop, I request you to join our workshop. That would be very helpful for you. And as you heard, Mr. Sridhar, please do not waste time. Go ahead and you can join my workshop, next workshop, which is coming soon, and you can get the details in the link below. The next thing is, Mr. Sridhar, I have a next question to you, because you did the training, you have done the self-preparation, but how was your exam experience? Was it easy for you? Was it medium, or it's a very tough for you?
Yeah, no, so I think the exam was a little funny in my case. So what had happened was, actually, I scheduled it late night. In fact, it was early morning, I think. But there was some issue regarding my identity card. They wanted signature on the identity card, and I spent this, because they were not accepting the Aadhaar card, because Aadhaar card does not have signature. So they wanted a identity card with signature. I think I kind of told some people also, bring your Aadhaar card, bring your other identity card where you have signature. I think that was one of the requirements. So that kind of I had to bring in my driving license, this and that, and change. So that kind of initially got me, I was well prepared for the exam, but that kind of disturbed my thought process initially. So the start of my exam was a little slow because this kind of derailed my thought process. It was completely non-technical, not called for, but I think that's part of the process. So the beginning of my exam, first few questions was very slow. I was like, it took for me some time to actually bring back my mind to focus. But I think after about 5 or 6 questions, I was in the go. So the questions, the way I received it was exactly what I studied. It looked like, it looked like very easy for me. Initially, as I said, the questions were all easy for me, but I think because of the initial starting late or inertia, the first few questions I had taken more time to answer. But I think after 10-15 minutes, I picked up speed. And then I finished the exam 1 hour before the schedule.
Oh, wow. That's
and I had time to revise, and I think I revised it once. All my questions. And I did not change much because my first instinct about the choices was almost right. I think only one question I changed my choice. But I think I was still half an hour before I closed my exam.
That's great. And I think the examination question as per the study material or the training objective, right? Whatever it was as per those only.
So to be honest, I just studied the user guide, which is there on the website. That was very useful. And since I was very focused upon a couple of things on how to optimize, because I was myself, when I was studying the material, I was myself trying to discover how I can improve the the efficiency of the building. Which particular parameter is more useful, because when you do the building and design, you are aware of certain clients' requirement in terms of materials and all that. So if you can't do a particular measure, you need to make up for using some other measure, right? So you have your practical knowledge in terms of what actually goes in today's design and what the client likes. And also what does it actually mean in terms of embodied carbon and energy consumption, right? So somewhere you need to strike a balance. So I was looking at new materials which could actually offset some of the high energy consuming materials which are used, and so on and so forth. So I was on a discovery path, and that kind of helped me in terms of understanding each of these measures and parameters. So I appreciated that, and that kind of helped me to come up with the overall result.
Super. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights. So my next question is, because now you are 𝗦𝗥𝗧 now, so what is your future plans? What you are going to do in your current job, in your current role, or what you want to achieve in the years to come? So if you can just share a few insights of that.
Oh yeah, so I'm basically looking at consulting at this point of time. So as I said, I have a deep expertise in hotels and resorts. That's one of my core area of specialization. And of course, I've done all other building types as well, including software parks, office building, commercial buildings, and so on and so forth. So I'm kind of looking at a niche sector. So I'm looking at edge expertise, specifically giving solutions in the hospitality sector.
Okay.
That's my first focus area. So I can do any building evaluation of edge, but my passion is of course on hotels and resorts, 5-star hotels and resorts.
Okay.
Because given my list of hotel chains which I've worked across my career, I understand the building very well, the building type very well, and the areas where we need to focus upon.
Right.
Having said that, I'm also equally looking at the office parks, the special economic zones, education buildings, hospitals, so on and so forth. So that's my pure play consulting, which I'm kind of I'm in touch with few of my erstwhile clients. They're just talking terms with me. But I think there's a lot of focus upon why, from a client perspective, why they do want to have an edge certification, right? So,
right.
So everybody's looking at, the carbon footprint. They're looking at green bonds. Big players like Adani had kind of looking at the solar energy, green bonds, and accessing green finance, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of interest from corporate clients to look at financing, because typically green bonds, where you can access markets, finance markets abroad, you can access finance at a cheaper interest rate, provided you promise to have green building and which you promise to have certified green buildings.
True.
Which means you're looking at sustainability in long term, and you're really serious about it. So that is one aspect what client is actually looking for. The second is about the ESG, where people are looking at environment, social, and governance as a framework. Today corporate governance framework is very important in terms of the ESG framework. And people are really serious about it's just not an eyewash where you get a certificate, right? So people are really serious about how you're using your energy, how you're going to stand, to match with the UN sustainable development goals, right?
Right.
And so people are, the corporate sustainability is also, the business sustainability is directly linked to the environmental sustainability, right? So you today can't think of corporate operating at an nth age, right? So they cannot operate without any endpoint, without looking at sustainability. So that is very important. So people are looking at the sustainability very seriously, and certification is a tool. So certification actually tells you as a client you're serious about what you're doing. It's just not an eyewash where you submit an ESG report,
right,
just for the sake of compliance, right? Some people just do it for the sake of compliance. They can say tall things that I will do this, I will do that, but actually they might not end up doing it. But today we have systems and records where you need to continuously certify, continuously demonstrate that you actually are looking at sustainability seriously.
Right.
So that all the more clients are serious about edge certification and green bond and so on and so forth. So the way I look at it is that there is a lot of scope, and going forward we will need a lot of edge experts to kind of come into play, because we are today in a market where there is a huge demand for edge certified experts and the lead experts and so on and so forth. So there is a going forward, I think there is no second thoughts about the amount of demand you're going to have for these kind of experts in the market.
Right.
And that is one part of the segment. The second part is, I'm looking at building retrofits, because one is the new buildings, right? So the new buildings, you have the advantage of looking at materials and designing all of that.
Right.
But the biggest challenge what we have in this country and many parts of the world is about existing building stock. So the existing building stock is a huge inventory, and huge inventory of buildings are, gobbling huge amount of energy, and it is dissipating energy.
Right.
And we are using fossil energy for ages, right? Electricity.
Right.
Today we're talking about solar energy, wind energy, and all. It's still at a nascent stage, and renewable energy, even after so much of focus, is only a fraction of the overall, conventional energy.
Right.
So the retrofit market is a huge market, and my focus is more on the retrofit market rather than the new market, because retrofit is something which I would actually do a free consulting rather than demonstrate to the client saying your energy bill saving is so much, and let the client actually come and say that yes, you have demonstrated whatever investment which has payback during the the payback period.
Right.
The savings is much more than the investment, and so actually the client would actually engage you on a success fee model. So there are different models of engagement, but I think my focus area post my current situation is going to be on retrofits, and that is a big market.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Sridhar. And I think in this area, I think we can collaborate further. So I will be sharing different opportunities where we can collaborate in this part. So I will be sharing that offline. But yes, the final thoughts I have, because you joined our training program, now you're an edge expert. So if you can share some tips and tricks for the aspirants who are planning to give this examination, as well as how why they should prefer our training program. So if you can just share some highlights on that part.
Oh yeah. So now the expert exam, as far as the exam is concerned, so the exam basically asks you about basic concepts. So they're not going to give you a calculation, very tricky question or problems or anything. So as long as you're very clear in terms of concepts, about energy or water or embodied carbon. Of course, there are some edge measures where you need to understand the insulation of roof and insulation of walls and so on and so forth, and the U value and all of that. So as long as you're broadly aware of all of these parameters on measurements,
right,
you should be good. You don't need to mug, or you don't need to prepare really hard for these exams. These are not entrance exam kind of preparation.
Right.
So these are more about orientation. You just need to revise once or twice, and as long as you're passionate about it, I don't think you need much of preparation. So the exam is going to be easy, and it's going to be very conceptual. But one point is that there are 4 choices in the multiple choice. Out of the 4, 2 might be a little tricky in terms of choosing one or the other.
Right.
So you don't rush onto selection. Just shortlist 2 of them, and then take your time. There's enough time for the edge exam. Don't need to rush. You will finish half an hour before, so don't even waste that half an hour. Make use of it. Take your time and then do the right choice. So once you're relaxed, I think you will choose the right answer.
Okay.
And I think you'll be good with that.
Right. And if you want to prefer for the training, why should people prefer D2O Learning, and for this training program, if you have some highlights on that part?
Oh yeah, no. So I think D2 training. I think Anuj, you made us very comfortable in terms of asking questions during the orientation, and also live examples. And we went through the Edge platform on a live demo, right? So we kind of put in some values and see the results in terms of how much savings, which we could see those graphs, right, dipping down, increasing, and then we have some parameters where we need to go into special sub parameters and put some values, and then see what changes happens, right? So if you do some changes in energy, there are some linked parameters in water, and how that changes related to that, right? So all of that, you gave us a lot of time in terms of asking questions, however simple it may be, and that kind of helped us through, and you never hesitated asking silly questions, and then second thing is the collaboration, right? So we had a team of 30 people on the call, and then somebody asked a question, somebody put some question on the chat box, and then that is in fact some question which is some base question is a question similar to all of us, right? So each one of us learned from each other, and I think peer-to-peer learning along with you as an instructor in the overall scheme of things was very helpful. Great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sridhar. I think that's lovely hearing from you. So thank you so much once again for being a part of our training, as well as congratulations once again for becoming an edge expert. So the people who are watching this video, if you are planning to become the edge expert, I would recommend, I think now you are fully inspired and motivated from Mr. Sridhar. So if you're planning to do that, please join our next workshop so that you can be a part of our edge expert family. And I wish you all the best. Very soon you will be the edge expert. So see you soon, and I'll look forward to see you inside the workshop.